Barbara, in multiple interviews, you have said that waitressing had taught you so much. And if you were to lose everything today, hopefully that will never happen, that you would still go back to waitressing because it teaches so much when it comes to sales and whatnot. Can you elaborate?
Well, waitressing is a form of sales. You have a territory, which is your counter or the tables you're in charge of. You have people that come and go, and they're going to order a lot or a little, so you have a chance to upsell, to tell them about the special of the day with enthusiasm. That's selling. You're on a commission basis. So I remember when I was waitressing, I would compare my commissions, kind of eyeball what the cash check was left at the next table that I didn't have, and I would see that my tips were a lot higher. And so I became very adept at making the person who walked through the door feel so important the minute they sat down at my counter, as though I couldn't wait to see them. And you know what, even though I was doing a little play acting because I wanted more tips, the fact of the matter is the minute I started talking, I actually meant it. And I got to know about them, and it was rich. And many of those customers offered me other jobs, so it was a means to an end as well. The last thing I can say about waitressing is you're on your feet and you're hustling from the minute you walk in until the minute you leave, and that's what sales is all about, hustle.
So many people watch the show, watch you, Barbara, admire you and say, you know, I want to have the success like Barbara has. Now, obviously it takes a lot of hard work.
A lot of people work hard.
A lot of people work hard. So, you know, how much of it also has to do with, you know, getting that break, meeting the right person? You know, what's the story behind it?
You know, luck plays a part in all success, no doubt. I would not deny that. And I've had very good lucky breaks. One was, as a waitress, a man came to my counter and asked me out. And he became my first boyfriend when I was 23. And it was that gentleman that offered me $1,000 to start a real estate business based on my personality. You've got a great personality. You should start a brokerage firm in New York City. I'll give you $1,000 if you give me half the firm. Was that going to happen if I wasn't there at that time? Perhaps not. But would it have happened if I wasn't smiling and making friends with everybody that walked in the door? Probably not either. So half of it's you're making your own luck, but certainly half of it is just the stars align at times, and you just get that break to go ahead. My being born to my parents who had 10 kids they could barely feed, and yet they loved us and made us each feel important, that was the luckiest break of my life, because I came out of that situation feeling confident simply because I was loved. So much of life is a lucky break, but I would say that the other half is what you do with the luck and how hard you hustle and how far you run it up the flagpole.
I want to talk about the M word now.
What's
millennials.
Oh, millennials.
Do you think they get a kind of a bad reputation in a sense of, you know, that they're these avocado eating, toast eating generation that spends all their money on expensive lattes and doesn't really know what it takes to make it, and you know, how do you view this generation?
Well, I always feel that any kind of stereotyping labels, and it's never true. So I happen to have a company right now, my new business, filled with millennials, nothing but millennials. And they're as hardworking, as dogged and determined as I ever was. So I pick good ones, no doubt, and I interview a lot of clunkers that I don't certainly hire. But I think there is a shift in attitude in a more general sense, which is I think people begin to think that if they're well educated and they've worked hard, that they're entitled for the promotion or the quick rise to the top. Whereas I think years ago, there wasn't that expectation. And that's a little bit of a poison.
Right. There is this sense of entitlement, right?
Everybody wants to be a boss, you know, so, and they want to be a boss fast, and it's very hard to accommodate that when you're running an organization.
But on the flip side, I think people also need to understand that they need to be managed differently, millennials, right? Like maybe the way the work office will exist one day will have to change. Like, can we still have this 9 to 5 mentality when perhaps the millennial wants to work, you know, a 10 to 3 a.m. shift?
I think anything about hours can be worked out, and I think the more you accommodate an employee and it fits with their lifestyle, the harder they work for you if they're good to begin with. If not, they take full advantage of it. But millennials, I feel like I maybe manage a little differently today than I did then. I was more dictatorial when I was younger, and today, I don't know if it's because I'm older or because my employees are different, but I relinquish more responsibility and trust earlier. Maybe they demand it, or maybe I'm willing to give it, but it seems to be a nice combination of getting the best for me and for them, and then of course your whole team wins.
So just to wrap here, wise words from Barbara for investors watching out there, young, mid-year, seasoned, what's your advice?
Well, if you're speaking about personal investment, of course I'm a real estate broker at heart, and I say buy early and buy fast. get in the market so you have something to trade with. Don't get spooked away by what you think might be going on, because in the end, you got to live somewhere, and you're better owning than renting. And if you don't have the cash, con your parents into giving you 50% of the down payment. Tell them they'll take 50% of the profit when you sell, but get in the market. If you're talking about what you're going to invest in, I say invest in what your instinct says is going to make you happy, because in the end, this is not our end goal for everything. You just want to be happy. And so all these little pieces, investing, personally investing, in business investing, in the stock, whatever it is, they're all cards that have to support your happiness. So whatever you're comfortable with, I'm a believer you go with what you're comfortable with.
Barbara, thank you so much.
My pleasure.